Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose? You're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. Welcome back, everyone, to what is going to be a really fabulous episode of Female Founder Unplugged. I have a great guest, my friend Shashi, with me today. And this woman has already taught me an incredible and invaluable lesson about owning my own finances, my own financial future, my own financial literacy. And I'm super excited that she's going to share this with us today because I think it's a powerful lesson. And we just talked about this, not just as business owners, but as women. She really has a very empowering philosophy around this message of owning your financial future. And as leaders, we need to lead in this space, lead ourselves and lead others. So thank you. Thank you for coming to be a guest on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, yeah, me too. I mean, we've already been able to have a little bit of this. But let's start off with, first of all, introduce yourself. Give us your background and your bio, because you've had a remarkable career.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Sometimes when I hear that, I'm like, does that mean I'm old and I've had a lot of years to have experience? Or, thank you for saying that. So, hi, everyone. I'm Shashi Behl, and I love retail. So I would say that's my where I like to go. So most of my career has spanned my time in retail. Little bits. I started in the wholesale. My first business was in the wholesale realm, was Body Blocker. It was sun protective clothing for kids. That I call that business my second degree, which tells you how much money I made and how much I learned. Zero money, but it was the stepping stone. And I was like, okay, I like this. I like working for myself. I like business. There's so much to learn. Every day is different. And so it was a gift. Like all of those hard things that we have in life, they end up being the true gift, don't they? So from there, I dabbled in a few things, did some markets. I had about $5,000 left. I had some $5,000 left from that business that didn't work. I went to Bali, bought a crate of sarongs, came back to Canada, and I followed the Fringe Festival for like 6 months, selling sarongs one at a time, and turned that into $75,000 and built my first Twisted Goods store. And then, from there, we built that out to 10 stores, and I sold that company about 10 years ago. And in the interim, I've started a couple of other retail banners as well. All of the things that go along with that, with growing a business to 150 employees, butterflying companies, selling companies, and now investing in other companies that female, especially underrepresented voices, are starting. And I'm loving this next season.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say, if you haven't been into a Twisted Goods store, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. You go into that store, you're always going to find something that makes you smile and something you feel like you need to take home. And now with Joydrop, and I have some pieces of jewelry from Joydrop that are some of my personal favorites. So you've created some brands and some businesses that are some of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. And, and I have to give a big plug to the woman who owns Twisted Goods now, Angela Fair. She's based in Saskatoon. And she, the magic is now hers. She's been running it for the last 10 years. I have nothing to do with it other than to be her cheerleader. And
I love that.
So
I love that. And now, now you are a very active investor. And you said in all sorts of businesses, particularly underrepresented people. And you, not only do you invest, but you are a well-respected mentor. And people come to you, they look to you for your advice, your information. And I think some of that cheerleading, right? Like we all need someone in our corner. Well, and that's how we met. I moderated a panel that you were a part of. It was an incredible conversation. And we hit it off and have continued that. And I think that was so valuable. So, I guess maybe my first question is, how do you even start in that space?
Okay. Well, first of all, which space?
Well, being someone who transitions from being a business owner now to being an investor.
Right. And I would say that all of us are already starting because every time we learn something, it's another tool for our toolkit, not to, sound really trite. And then the transition also, I think there has to be a lot of thought to it because there's the tools that you're putting in your toolkit. And then there's a pragmatic self going, hey, if I am investing in others' company, that's the highest risk you can do. Now, when we're talking, the whole point of this is to talk about financial literacy, right? So I highly suggest that you don't go from having a business to investing in business until all the middle part, like paying off your mortgage, is done. Let's talk about all the boring stuff, right?
The boring stuff, yeah.
And the stuff that as women that we sometimes even this podcast and talking those questions, which are the point of they're really valid and they're good questions. But I think the point of it is to also say, hey, it's not the highlight reel. Is to hear that is the highlight reel. It's the Instagram picture, but it's deceiving because it doesn't say all the things that have to happen beforehand in order to get there. And it's not necessarily just owning a business and then transitioning. I would say then it's taking the money, talking to your partner, understanding what your next goals are in life. Do you have the money to lose?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question.
It's a high risk. And no matter how much you mentor, so you have to ask yourself all of those. And do you also want to do that with your hard-earned money?
Yeah.
Very hard-earned money. Because, hey, 4 years ago, GICs were 5.5%. Or you've got a great financial advisor and you're going to get a return of 8 to 10%. Those are things you have to ask yourself.
Yeah. No, and I think that's absolutely key. And I think it weaves into this conversation about how do we elevate our financial literacy? How do we become a leader of our own financial future?
Yes.
So that we can be an investor if that's what we choose to do.
And I think you use the word agency, and I love that. And it's still not being used too much, so I still love it. But I think we have agency over ourselves.
Yes.
And it is. So, we've had these business and okay, I've got some cash. Now what am I doing with that cash?
Yes.
And that is financial literacy. Having that conversation with yourself and putting yourself in a place that's comfortable for you then to transition to going, X amount of my portfolio, I am going to put into a higher risk venture. And then you come up with your thesis because I think we also go, I'm just going to invest in business. So that's why on purpose I say I am investing only in businesses that are run by women or people who identify as women, and then even further underrepresented women. Because we know the stats about women-led businesses, and as they go for races, they don't have the same access to capital.
No.
So if I have that money, I will then, you choose. It's just like you choose where to shop. And I would also say that a form of investment for all of us, when I say is choose where you shop. If you can shop on 17th Avenue from the woman who owns the clothing store there as opposed to a national store, you are investing in someone else's business.
Yes.
Those are meaningful interactions, and you are choosing how you spend your dollars. And that is a form of financial literacy. Like every time you spend a dollar, you are making a decision about your financial welfare.
I love that. Okay. I mean, that just totally landed for me. That yes, for many, and let me be clear, I think being an investor clearly relates to some of your biggest values. Yes. And I love to talk about what are your values and how do you live them every day. And so you live some of your values by taking your hard-earned money and reinvesting it with very specific people and very specific organizations. And that, I think, is an important piece. But also that when we choose to work with or purchase from someone who is another small business owner, that's investing too.
100% it is.
Light bulb moment. Yeah. Total light bulb moment.
Yeah. And then there's a greater good. It's also investing into your community. Yeah. Because most of them, we all know it. How many times you get hit up by the soccer team, the baseball team, the grad committee. And you know who actually gives all those gifts? It's the small business owners.
Sure is.
Because it's their neighbor. It's not the big companies. Nope. So that is also investing in your community. It's investing in your kids' future. It's investing in the neighborhood sidewalk. Like the taxes stay here, the money stays here. Yeah. It's huge impact.
It's enormous. And I think you're right. And isn't it interesting that particularly women-led businesses get far less access to capital, far less access to experts and mentorship. And yet those are the organizations, A, that have a far better record of paying back loans and debts, and B, drive money into the community. Yes. Everyone benefits when women-led businesses are successful. Absolutely. It is statistically true. Wow.
So thank you for the question, because it is a bigger question, on investments and how you do it. But I guess, and then to not take away from, what you were asking, that if you are wanting to invest in businesses, that's what I say about have a thesis, because you can't, just like you can't have a business that's everything to everyone. You have a certain amount of money that you want to invest in. Yeah. Well, then be thoughtful about where it's going, because then it's smart money too. And then the more you're probably going to invest in something you already know. Like for me, I can have a smarter conversation about retail or wholesale or, CPG companies, because that's the space I've lived.
Yeah.
So, and space I enjoy. And then the other piece, you talk about living in your values. So there is the value, the value of ensuring that the woman next to you is lifted. That's it's all in every company I've had. That's curiosity is another one, because it allows that I'm constantly learning. So I also look for within those businesses, is there a space for me to learn something as well? Because I may lose this money, but what I will gain is something even bigger, and that's knowledge. And so that's part of my thesis.
I like that a lot. And again, just that's what leadership is. I'm willing to give some things away, but where's my continuous learning and growth here? I don't think that that's a factor that we talk about at all when it comes to investing, especially sort of that VC space, right? Like, wow, okay, that's really cool. And that's that's personal leadership, right?
Right. Yeah. It's having agency. Again, I love that word. It's having agency over your own life. So
I guess I'm curious, what other factors, without giving away your process, but what other factors do you consider when you look at an organization that you think you might want to invest in?
Well, for sure, 100% it's the founder. So it's the heart, we all know it's the heart, mind, wallet. And that's that is part of the process. It's first okay, is something drawing me to even look at this deck first, what's happening, heart, and that the heart is the founders. Founders, do they have it? Are they engaging? Can they answer questions? And do I think they have the resilience? Because can we swear on this podcast? I'm not sure.
Go for it. Yeah. Okay. We're all big girls here. We're all big girls.
Got it. Well, shit's going to hit the fan just about every week in startup, right? As you know. So do they have the resilience to get up every time that happens?
Yeah.
And, stay down for a while, soothe your cuts, but then get up.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really what I'm kind of questioning. And, how have they navigated pressures in the past? What's their growth plan? So that's the heart. And then is that X factor there?
Mm-hmm.
Then mind is, okay, well, past the heart, let's get into due diligence. Let's look at the numbers. Let's dive deep. Let's look at your deck. Let's look at your data room, and let's do the due diligence. And then the wallet. If those two pass, then we start talking, okay, the wallet is the money.
I like that.
It's heart, mind, wallet.
I love it. I can see the emojis in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's a process.
Yeah. Yeah, It sure is. It sure is. Can I also add, and I know we've talked about this, the heart piece is also around how do they lead, not just themselves, but are they leading their team? What kind of team do they have? What kind of culture they have? That's actually really important when you're analyzing a business. And it's why I preach it, because that's an important factor.
100%. And I kind of glossed over. So when I say heart, it is all that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have been it's not just their resilience, but it's their capacity to lead through the resilience. And with that comes creating the team. You're right. That is such. And does their team, part of it too is going in and asking their team the same questions, their leadership team, because it's one thing to find it, but to hear it from the founder. But then I'm also curious on, is everybody actually saying that as well? And what's happening on the floor? So
yeah, right? What is it translating?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, this is why I do the work that I do, because the founder needs to be leading at that next level. They need to have a strategic approach to how they're building the team, and they need to wrap that up in a culture where people are unleashed to deliver. The human capital is a great deal of the potential in every business.
Absolutely. It's the heart.
It's the heart. Even if you have an AI business, let's be honest, you still have to have people to do the things.
Yeah, you do.
Right? Yeah. And especially in your world, which is retail, that team is critical.
Oh, absolutely. They're front facing.
Yes.
So, I've always lived by and this is even in our office, we don't have titles. It's there are no, because at the end, if we are not making sales, and it really is humbling for a lot of people, and if they don't like it, it is part of our culture. We're not the company for them. Yeah. Because my thing is, if we are not sweeping up as the team in the office, if we're not sweeping up in front of the girls at the store, we actually don't have a business. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter how many Excel sheets I look. If the people and the women that are front facing and the faces of our company are not making sure when you walk into the store, your visit is absolute pleasure, whether you buy something or not, it is absolute pleasure. We don't have a company.
No.
So.
No, I think back to, I worked for a major Canadian retailer in the corporate office many, many, many years ago.
Oh, okay. I'm scared to ask which one.
Yeah. When you start to label yourself in terms of decades, how you doing?
Yeah.
I worked for a man. He oversaw the operations of every store in Western Canada. And that was his routine. 3 days a week in the store, walking the floor with the managers, actually physically in the business.
That's incredible.
He was remarkable. And he, that was one thing that was instilled in me from the time I was a, 20-year-old woman, is that if you are not connected to your business, and in retail, it's very physical, then you are missing. If you're not listening to your team that does that work day in and day out, there's data. They have important information for you that you are not seeing, experiencing, or hearing. And as a result, you're not leading effectively. You're not making the strategic decisions that are key to grow the business. That's so powerful.
It really is. And, right from the get-go, I'm sure you've heard there's all different sort of execution models, but started early on with something called the Rockefeller habits in with Twisted Goods, and it was how we grew it. Because when you get back to a team of 150, it's all about meeting rhythms. And then it was always a set agenda, stand-up meetings. Yeah. So we got through it. But it was, the purpose was, this week, what did you hear? What did we need? Where did we lack? Where did we excel? Always. Beautiful. And then it was, so then we had, every team had a 1 minute huddle. Like, so we had these systems in place for meeting rhythms to get that information, and then but more importantly, to respond to that information in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's right. You can get the best information in the world, but if you're not responding, if you're not shifting, if you're not, I'm going to use the P word, pivoting. The P word. It is almost a swear word. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if you're not leveraging that information, if you are not listening and seeing and observing closely, and then translating that information into action in a meaningful way, you're missing it.
Yes, I think so.
I think so too. Well, and you've been pretty damn successful, so I don't think it's a think so. I think it's a no so, right?
Thank you.
I want to ask you, just to shift gears slightly, because one of the important things, we've used the word agency, is having agency over our own finances and how we can be the CEO of our own financial business. That's important that you talk to us about that today.
Well, I think it goes hand in hand with the same as when you're self-employed or you have your own business, you own it. It's a very blurry line between personal and professional.
It sure is.
Is there a line? I don't know.
So the CRA hopes you have a line.
Yeah, yes, of course. Yes, of course. There's the compliance. There's the compliance lines for sure. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I would say I don't know how you have one without the other. Honestly, I think once it's back to, it's a value, but once you have that, there's no way that you're like, oh, okay, I'm absolutely going to understand my finances in my business, but I'm going to leave it at home. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that actually is how our mind. So as you get more and more and learn more and more, you start to use those same theories, the same pieces, tools that you've got in your toolkit, as said, you start to implement them in your home life as well. And then back to the original question of investing. Well, that investing, you take it out of the business. It's not the business investing. It's you've taken it out of your business. You've got, however, in whatever structure you've come up with. Well, now that's your money. So you have to have your own personal finances in order to do that. And that's where I made the comment about, make sure your mortgage is paid off. Make sure that you called your debts or you don't have debt before you start going there. I know I just spoke with a young woman a couple of weeks ago and she was like, yeah, I'm going to invest in this and this and this. I said, that's awesome. I said, so, and she might have been late 20s, early 30s. And I said, quick question. I said, have you paid off your mortgage yet? And she's like, no, why wouldn't I? That's good. And she goes, it's not sexy. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to tell you what's even sexier. I said, it's sexier when you're 40 and you actually don't have a mortgage. And now all of a sudden you don't have to think when you buy anything. I said, that's sexy. And she looks at me and she went, what? And I said, I promise you that it's, just think about it. Just tell me you'll think about it. And before you do this next investment, because she's throwing 10,000 here and 10,000 there. Yeah. Put it on
put it on your mortgage, pay off your student debt. Okay. Seriously. I love that. Yeah. It's not sexy. It's not meant to be sexy. It's a house. Like, it's a place to live. It's a roof over your head. If you don't value that, there's another problem. But I think to me, as you were talking, I'm hearing this idea of you got to pay yourself first, right? Like, you're a business owner. You've put your blood, sweat, tears, and usually most of your life savings into this damn thing. You've got to pay yourself first. And part of doing that is you've got to get your personal space, your finances to the place where you're as debt-free as you can be. Because that's paying yourself back for all that 100%. Hard work.
Well, the interesting is she's an accountant, right? So she knows numbers. So I said, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. I said, run the ROI on giving this money $10,000, no interest, no nothing, and with maybe getting some return in a 10-year time. And then run it on putting that $10,000 extra a year on your mortgage, and tell me what the ROI is on both of those. And she's like, what? I said, well, that's what you're doing when you invest. I said, so if you want to have a sexy conversation, I said, if that's what it's about, right? I said, why don't you maybe then tell your girlfriend or the guy that you're with is like, yeah, I invest $10,000 a year and I get the ROI I get is blah, blah, blah. And I said, and don't tell them the business. The business is you.
Yeah. That's agency.
Yeah.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
Be the CFO of you.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the title of the episode right there. Be the CFO of you. That's sexy stuff. Yeah. For real. I love it. I mean, I don't do math in my head, but I know the concept of compound interest. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty clear how that $10,000 a year over a period of 10 years is going to impact your payments on your mortgage. Even though most of us still have pretty low interest mortgages, we're pretty lucky, but still.
Yeah. It doesn't, like, I think it's that kind of thing. It's easy. And for sure, it does change a little bit when we're all in low interest, but we also know that doesn't last.
No.
So the other piece of that is you're in low interest, but that someone else has control. And that's also the piece that we want to talk about when you talk about your own financial agents.
Right? Someone else owns a chunk of your house.
Yes.
Literally.
You're at the whim of a bank too, or the Bank of Canada to raise or lower the bank rate. And then so you cannot get upset when the economy starts to tank and they have to increase the interest rate because you maxed out your mortgage, when you also have opportunities to put it down. Like, I think that there's a personal responsibility.
There is, but I love your challenge of, and I think everyone listening to the show, the challenge of do the math. Because we often don't stop and think about it, because we do have a bit of like magpie syndrome. It's the shiny things. We all have that proclivity because apparently we are all magpies. Yep. But actually sit down and do that math, because I think that's what really counts. Make those numbers make sense. Yeah. That's agency.
And then if you need to reframe it, like, I love reframing it, because as soon as you say it, it's like, I just got my investment. I just got an ROI of blah, blah, blah on this investment. And you're like, wow, what was it? Oh, I paid myself.
Right?
And, and all of a sudden it switches. I promise you, it switches the conversation. And it does. It's like not, oh, I'm putting money on my mortgage, as opposed to, oh, I just invested in this, and this. Okay. Did you make money or did you lose money? Like, it's, people don't ask that. They hear the investment.
I love it, because that's just it's a really pragmatic approach. I think it's one we can all understand. We can all go look at our bank statements, right? Like that, and our mortgage statements. And we can all, do those calculations. And in fact, then we can make a really educated choice. If you still decide to be an investor, that's super cool, because you're like, no, actually, I feel like I'm paying this mortgage down. We already put an extra $100 or whatever. Yeah. Okay, now I'm making a very strategic, very educated decision about what I'm doing with that 10 grand.
Yes. And that all goes back to your thesis, right? It's that taking the time to think about what's important. And, and it changes. And so that's where I go, like, there's a blend between business and personal, because your question was, how do you do your personal? And that it is. It is. We don't need to make it complicated.
No, we don't. And let's be clear, it's kind of all business, because it's the business of our organization that we own and run. And it's the business of us as the financial stake in our future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is such an intriguing conversation. I've had a couple light bulb moments. I know everyone that's listening is going to connect these dots in a slightly different way. But this has been really brilliant. Thank you. I'm so glad to have you as a guest.
So kind of you to say thank you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I know we're all taking away a lot from today.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.